Hello everyone and everything, and welcome back to Game Breakdown. But just real fast, before we dive into Bianco Hills, I want to talk about the game's cover art, because I genuinely don't think I'm going to find a better time to do it, so it may as well be now. There's this line of text on the outer ring here that I think gets completely filtered out by that part of your brain that processes white noise. Some of it's completely blocked out. It was probably designed by the same guy who did that Delfino map, but best people can figure, it says, Mario has more moves than ever, and you'll need to master them all to sprinkle water in the sunshine. I don't know. I feel like doing the sprinkler only requires mastery of maybe 2 moves. So kicking off Bianco Hills, we have the road to the windmill, and we can see by the establishing shot that this area is on a much larger scale than Delfino Airstrip. We also see that our painty counterpart is causing problems, and plainly possesses a partial partnership with the proto-piranhas popping up place after place. Perplexingly, sorry, I'll stop now. Curiously, he actually doesn't play any role in this mission. We can search everywhere, but he's nowhere to be found, so I presume his participation is primarily presented to put that pollution parallel in the player's perception. I did it again! So welcome officially to Bianco Hills. The word Bianco in Italian means white, which reflects that white brick small Italian village architecture that this area takes inspiration from. I'm no expert, but at a guess, I'd say this area's architecture and focus on windmills is based specifically on Tuscany. So we spawn in the level right down here, on this observation deck overlooking the ocean, and this right here is one of the coolest things about Sunshine. Looking out from here, we can see just the rest of the world we have to explore. Delfino Plaza in the distance, someplace called Pinna Park in the other direction, and a big shipyard directly beneath us. What Mario Sunshine loses in diverse biomes, it gains back in spades this feeling of adventure, of properly exploring a real place, somewhere you can genuinely imagine visiting and traveling around yourself. To that end, we have another brochure page. Okay, hang on, this one seems slightly more readable than the airstrip one. I think this says windmills and water wheels, and this Bianca down here, based on a lot of guesswork and context clues, is saying something that begins with the letter Y. I'm pretty sure. Now let's dive on into the level. Bianco Hills starts this game off right. The atmosphere here is so inviting, and this little walkway they start you on is practically begging to be slid down every time you start a mission. Now we're going to be talking to a lot more people in this episode than we did last time, starting off with this lady. Not because what she says is particularly interesting, but the voice line accompanying it certainly is. Usually when you talk to a female Pianta, she sounds like, but this one sounds like this. Like, dang, do you need a hug? These enemies dawdling around here are called Strollin' Stews. They don't show up in too many levels, and it's honestly pretty easy to forget that they're even here. They can be dispatched pretty much as easily as their swooping counterparts. You can stomp them, squirt them, or my personal favorite, stun them with Flood, then kick them a million feet away. And this little pile of goop is, as far as I know, completely unique to this level. It's a Strollin' Stew generator that will keep spitting out the little guys until we clean it away. So I guess we'd better. If we head around the back of the village, we'll find the main characters of this town, starting with this guy. Can you believe my wife can toss people further than I can? Yarr! We can find his wife and 2 kids right over here, so let's see if that's really true. You're that guy who's been riding all over the village. You might have fooled the others, but I see right through you. Get out there and clean that mess up, you mustachioed punk. I call this family the Hergyars. Mr. and Mrs. Hergyar have their 2 lovely kids, Her and Gyar. Obviously, physical assault is a family pastime, so we should probably just do whatever they tell us and clean off this graffiti, for which we're rewarded with blue coins are Mario Sunshine's notorious secondary collectible that makes 100%ing the game memorable. 10 can be exchanged for a shine sprite, and there are 240 of them in the game, 30 in each major area. Here's the good news. Many of them are pretty easy to spot, and you can tell how many you've gotten in a given world by checking the map right here. What this doesn't tell you is that most blue coins can only be found in certain missions, and what it absolutely doesn't tell you is that a lot of blue coins relocate depending on the episode. I swear, these things were designed to Mandela affect you. Because if you say, spot this blue coin in episode 1, but decide to pick it up later, then you grab this blue coin in episode 8, you'll have no idea when you go back to collect that first one that the reason you can't find it is because you just picked it up. On top of that, that, a ton of these are just absurdly well hidden. Like, no way anyone just looking around on their own found all 240 of these. Oh yeah, it's only a little evil. So here's my conundrum. I've been going around in circles on how I want to tackle these things. On the one hand, getting all 30 in one quick montage after we've unlocked every mission is the easiest way to keep track of which ones you have and haven't gotten. However, if there are several coins exclusive to various different episodes, it could be obnoxious sending Mario in and out of the area over and over again. So maybe I should just grab every coin as soon as it's available. So what we're gonna do is basically both. Game Breakdown is built on the principle of me having my cake and eating it too, after all. I'm going to designate whichever mission has the most blue coins for a dedicated blue coin montage each episode. And for any blue coin not available in that episode, we'll be getting it as soon as possible, but also reiterating its location in the montage. I think this method lands in the best of both worlds, and we're in luck with Bianco Hills, as it's a rare case of all 30 coins being available in one single episode. So that means we can just merrily ignore them all until further notice. Now, if we head out of town towards the Windmill Lake and our actual objective, we'll find a lot more goop out here. Running and squirting is all well and good, but I think this would be a good time to show our most powerful means of combating the pollution, especially as this particular proto-piranha has these giant piranha plant heads that it can use to spread the goop far more effectively. Step 1, hold down the R button to stop and squirt. Step 2, jump. I don't actually know what this technique is called, probably something like the Flood Burst. Now, by itself, it isn't that effective, as the backflip attached to it removes Mario's control for a spell. But this can also be done in midair. Jump, then press R and A together, and this can be done over and over again. It uses a ton of water, but nothing clears out the gunk faster. Also, it's worth noting that while you can use this as sort of a poor man's backflip, the game actually won't let you switch to the hover nozzle until you've touched ground again, making it relatively useless as a jump. Now, as we clean up the gunk here, a few more points of note. For one, we can start finding these little piranha plants spawning from the goop, and for two, the goo is capable of submerging trees. The obvious next question that a reasonable person like myself asks is, does that mean I can manipulate the goo and submerge trees the same way I can with people? And the unfortunate answer is no. So let's take on our third proto-piranha. Yes, we kind of fight this same guy a lot throughout this game, but it really wants to make sure that you've got the hang of aiming and squirting, especially in the original version where, for some bizarre reason, the controls for it were normal for left and right, but inverted for up and down. Honestly, the option to fix this alone makes the switch port worthwhile to me. Take him down, and he reveals a whole hill sunken beneath him. Question: with enough sludge, could one conceivably submerge the entire island? Asking for a friend, but that nets us our second shine. Episode 2, Down with Petey Piranha, is going to send us in about the same direction, though thankfully some kind soul seems to have broken the gate that blocked our way out of town. So real quick before we head out for the threat on the windmill, let's check in on the Hergyars. So you're still lollygagging around here, are you? Have you cleaned up all that graffiti? No? Then get to it, mister! Ma'am, we need to find you a better outlet for your frustrations. What would your husband think? I hate to do this, but I need to use you for a little practice. Hergyar! See? He's already changing the family name. You gotta sort things out here, lady. Now, as we head up the hill we uncovered last time, we'll get into this mission proper. This one is designed as a tutorial for our hover nozzle, which can be used to cross great distances. It's not so well suited for gaining height, though, and as we get higher up, there'll be a jump that does a good job displaying its limits as far as actually maneuvering in midair. It's best suited to moving straight back or straight forward. Trying to turn Mario around will essentially eat through all his hover time. The whole time we're doing that, the big baddie atop the windmill is going to keep bombarding us with these balls of slime and piranha plant heads. Or, well, they're officially called piranha bonds, as in bonbons. Yeah. Hey, did you know you could kill piranha bonds by stomping on them? About halfway up the ascent, there's this little fountain. These are important to look out for. Stepping in front of them will fully replenish your water tank. Starving Mario for water is one of the main methods this game uses to increase its difficulty in later missions, so it's important to be aware of some alternative sources. At the top, all that's left to do is ride the big windmill up to its roof. It's a bit slow, but it gives us a perfect opportunity to admire this fantastic view of the whole area. But it'd probably be even nicer if this guy weren't literally mucking it up. God, that scream is such a cool sound. It's hard to see since the screen gets all blurred up, but Mario actually covers his ears when he does it. And then we get this great comedic moment with Mario and Petey mirroring each other. It's honestly no wonder Petey Piranha became such a fan-favorite boss despite playing a really tiny role in this game. But here we are. Within the windmill, we have our first real boss fight against a foe that actually, attacks. He has this big head roll to fling us away, and this goop upchuck attack. Neither do damage directly, but since the goop constantly spawns stews and even piranha plants, it's more of a threat. Exacerbated by the fact that there's no water down here. Don't worry, you don't actually have to do the whole fight on one tank. As you get low on water, enemies will start giving you water bottles. Goobles can give you these small ones, worth half a water tank when you beat them by stomping them. Really clever design there, as the game can assume that when you're resorting to not squirting them, you probably need water. And piranha plants and even Petey's vomit attack can provide you with these big water bottles that provide a full water tank. You could honestly get through the whole game without ever seeing one of these. Not because their spawn rate is especially low or anything, but they tend to only show up in specific situations. We can take a really close look at them and see that it's labeled Monty water. Monty being an Italian word for mountain, and the name for piantas in the Japanese version. Now, to actually beat Petey Piranha, all you have to do is flood his mouth with water whenever he starts inhaling for a vomit attack. Once his belly is swollen and he topples over, a games journalist arrow will pop up over his exposed belly button. Ground pound on Petey's stomach and BAM! You know the drill. Rinse and repeat 3 times and our boy goes down, melting away into paint. By the way, this is important. Tuck this away in your brain box, okay? Painty Petey Piranha. But hey, you know what sounds much more fun than actually doing the boss fight? Coins! In this game, whenever you get 100 coins, you'll be rewarded with a secret 100 coin shine, specific to the area you're in. Delfino Plaza has one, Bianco Hills has one, they all have one. But here's what's interesting. Not only does it not matter which of the level's episodes you obtain those 100 coins in, it doesn't matter if you're in a sub-area either, like, for instance, this Windmill boss arena. If we come in here with a ton of coins, and wrangle the last few out of the piranha plants Petey summons, we can reach that 100 coin total down here. And there's something so funny about Mario mid-fight just going, yep, see ya boss, I got what I came for. We're gonna go over a more practical way to get the 100 coin shine in just a bit, so don't worry about following along here. But something I'm committed to with this game breakdown is this. I want to show off every possible location where the 100 coin shines can conceivably be collected, just because I know that there's a ton that people probably never even considered. In terms of something a little more broadly known, let's rewind to the beginning of the first mission, Road to the Big Windmill. At the start of this mission, you can see Petey Piranha and his shine still chilling at the top of the windmill. And if you do completely ignore the Proto Piranha at the base of the hill and make your way up to the same path episode 2 takes you on, there's nothing stopping you from reaching him. This purple guy over here even has unique dialogue, calling out the player on the small sequence break. If we finish out Petey's fight here in episode 1, it still counts as the episode 2 shine. This is something exceedingly rare for Mario Sunshine. As I've mentioned before, this game gets a lot of criticism for elements of it being too linear. And one of those elements is that you always have to go through all the core shines of a level in a set order. Even if we try to go after some other future shines early by abusing Mario's really shaky collision, we'll find that certain loading zones aren't even functional until later. This is for good reason. As we'll see later on, the order of the shines tells a small story that wouldn't work as well out of sequence. But this one oddball shine is the exception. Without glitches, this is the only one we can get out of order. And see in the menu select an uncollected shine followed by a collected one. But assuming you did collect both of those, that will bring our total up to 3 shines. And upon returning to Delfino Plaza, we'll be presented with an exciting renovation happening over on the docks. Or rather, what used to be the docks, but is now a miasma of black goo. As you might expect, if we head over there now, we'll find another polluted piranha to fight, and I think we fought our fair share of those for the time being. Maybe the police can take a break from their intensive jobs of calling me a slacker and grab a frickin' fire hose. So let's dive back into Bianco Hills, the Hillside Cave's secret. So far, we've dealt with a hill submerged in sludge and a fiend terrorizing the windmill. Now, the poor denizens of Bianco Hills are terrorized by a hole in the side of their hill, the humanity. No, really, there doesn't actually seem to be anything amiss, unless you count this lady's woman's intuition. The only reason we're properly given to investigate the cave, apart from, like, the name of the mission, is this guy, who will only tell you that a weird-looking guy ran inside the cave after you've cleaned him up and talked to him twice. Even the Hergyars seem to be having a pretty normal day. Mrs. Hergyar doesn't even insult us before throwing us over her shoulder. Hey, mustache man, you're funny looking, but kinda cool. Oh yeah, you're alright in my book too, little buddy. As we head out of town, we're gonna start seeing a bunch of different enemies now that there's not goop everywhere, including pokies, pokey heads, these little blue guys called CD pods, and these flappy crappy chicken dudes called plurps. All of them can be beaten just by stomping on them, Mario style, but the CD pods have to be stunned from afar with water first. And honestly, it makes me feel like such a piece of crap to kill these guys. Look how much fun they're having just loving life before Mario comes along. Speaking of pieces of crap, the little droppings of goo that the plurp spread functions just like the rest of the brown sludge we've seen, summoning goobles and submerging piantas if it gets out of hand. Hey, check it out, Bianco Hills has their own flag. I suppose that one in the last episode was specifically Delfino Plaza's flag then. If we head a little off the beaten path and up the road to the windmill again, we'll find a new player in our little drama. We're just gonna call this guy Pink Tourist, and from this level on, he's gonna start appearing in a bunch of really random places around Bianco Hills as he tries and fails to tour them without getting gooped. He'll offer a blue coin for cleaning him up, but as I said, I'm gonna leave that to one side until later. Now let's go investigate that dastardly cave. The intended route over is meant to familiarize us with these tightrope power lines, which are pretty slick. They've got this really satisfying trampoline physics to them, and negotiating Mario's momentum against these power surge thingies is pretty satisfying. But we can also just skip all of that with a well-placed wall jump at the base of the cliff over here. This last jump teaches us that while Flood doesn't really help gain Mario that much height in open air, against a slope, that's a completely different story. Hey, I was using that. Hey! This is the introduction of secret levels, and I hate that that's what they called them, because this game also has secret shines, and those are emphatically not the shines you get from clearing secret levels. So for the sake of clarity, I'm gonna call these not-so-secret levels, though the colloquial term people use is floodless levels. These are fantastic, generally some of the best regarded aspects of this game, and for good reason. One of the coolest things any game can do after getting you reliant on some awesome ability or item is take it away, to hold it hostage and say you can have it back once you've proved you don't need it.
If you're nothing without this, then you shouldn't have it.
That being said, these levels are rather steep difficulty spikes. You are going to hear this noise a lot. To suddenly pull the rug out from under this sandbox open-level collectathon to remind us that Mario platformers have teeth with these linear obstacle courses surrounded by insta-kill bottomless pits, it's a dramatic shift to be certain. I wouldn't blame you if it felt unfair, especially since Mario Sunshine has the most demoralizing game over sound I've ever heard. As you may have come to expect, getting a game over boots you out of the level entirely. For this level, that amounts to maybe an extra minute of inconvenience as we make our way back. That's already a minute you probably don't want to spend on not trying again, and the routes to these not-so-secret levels are only going to get tougher, so it's a good idea to get into the habit now of fending off game overs by collecting as many one-ups in these levels as you can find. This level's gotten easy to grab one right here beneath this ground-poundable nail, though I can't imagine that's easy on Mario. As for the level itself, the second obstacle with all the shifting blocks looks pretty threatening. And if you try to just brute force it, it'll probably take a few tries to get lucky. But if you head across on this column here, you can make it across without even needing to jump. These rotating cubes are basically not a threat, so our last opponents are these spinning stars, which thankfully don't actually affect Mario's trajectory. And so as long as you don't let them psych you out or bait you with this one-up, you should be fine. Should be. It can be tough, but there are few shines in the game more satisfying than these ones. Episode 4, Red Coins of the Village. My god, a red coin infection, as threatening as any goo-pocalypse. This is our intro to red coins, a staple of Mario games. Collect all of them in a set, in this game's case, all 8, and we'll get a prize. This first set is pretty laid back, and it'll send us on a pretty satisfying route across the roofs of the town to collect them all. But before we do that, there's an oddity here at the entrance. Get close and Flood will inform you that it's a spare hover nozzle, which we can collect. However, apart from refilling our tank, it doesn't appear to do anything. So let's check around the area and see what's what. Well, Mrs. Hergyar seems to have developed an unhealthy dependence on giving us a good hurl every day. You know something, Mrs. Hergyar? I wanted to be friends, but I think it's time you realized your actions have consequences. Now, upon rescuing her from the goop, she does tell us thanks, but then promptly throws us anyway. So I can only assume that that's just how she shows affection. Her and Gyar are also the first Pianta kids we can see submerged, and they also have a different thank you message from the adults. Back outside of town, we can see a new set of platforms up by the cave, which we can reach with a good spin, jump, and hover. On it, we'll find a red Flood nozzle box, and inside, the rocket nozzle, our first alternative nozzle for Flood, which can be considered Sunshine's substitute for more traditional power-ups. Collecting a new nozzle replaces the hover nozzle, and in some cases will unlock other locations within the level where that nozzle can be collected. It's worth noting that if we head up here, we'll find a a holographic nozzle box for a different kind of nozzle we've yet to collect. In order to make this one collectible, we'll have to find a solid box somewhere else. If we exit the level, Flood will default back to the hover nozzle, meaning we'll always have to find the rocket nozzle again if we want to use it. This is also what the hover nozzle boxes are for, reverting back without having to leave the level. That's all the nitty-gritty about it. Now, whoa, check this thing out! The rocket nozzle sacrifices the hover nozzle's control for sheer height, which can also be used to cross great distances. It can be tough to use with any kind of precision, but it's undeniably fun. While we're up here, we can find Pink Tourist again, who says he wanted to investigate the cave from last time. Don't do it, man. I don't think Beyonce can even jump. However, we can head back into the cave, and even though we're not in the same episode, we'll be brought right back to the same not-so-secret level, though with two major differences. One, we get to keep Flood, which means we can absolutely stunt on anything that was giving us trouble before, and two, there's a great big threatening button just sitting here at the entrance. If we ground pound it, collect the 8 red coins before time runs out. Oh god, okay, here we go. I love this. The game anticipates you coming back here to flex on something you've already done, so it gives you this extra time trial and the extra element of the coins to sink your teeth into. Now, it may have been a mistake coming in here with the rocket nozzle instead of the hover, but I'm determined to see it through. Let's see if I can do this. I can! Okay, that was actually awesome. I definitely recommend that as a challenge if you've played this game already. Our reward for that is a secret shine, marked here on the level select. However, if you've been paying attention, you may realize that that's not the only secret shine available in this obstacle course. Once again, if we come in here with 99 coins and bring our total up to 100 by butt hammering another nail, we can spawn Bianco Hills' 100 coin shine right here. This honestly disappointed me a bit. For some reason I always assumed this would appear on top of one of these random trees, but I guess not. But there I go, getting shines in completely different missions than intended again. Let's go snag all those village coins now, shall we? This is also something that can be pretty fun to do with the rocket nozzle, if you feel like spicing things up a little. As we start wrapping this shine up, you might start getting pestered by these windy guys, which I don't believe have any official English name. In Japanese, they're called cyclos, but I hereby dub the blusters. And God, they're annoying, invincible, noisy, but at least not much of a presence for now. With that shine down, we're through the first half of Bianco Hills, and something we'll see happen fairly consistently across Mario Sunshine is that the episodes in the second half of the level really kick the difficulty up a notch, and we'll definitely see that here in episode 5. Petey Piranha strikes back. Though not an especially deadly level, this threatens to be one of the most tedious missions in the game if you don't have a good game plan. But we'll get to that. Obviously, slime is everywhere now, but why would I even try to deal with that before I found my boy Pink Tourist? Bianco Hills is a rather interesting place, huh? We have falling goop and all sorts of other oddities. I like your attitude, Pink Tourist. I also want to point out this guy chilling in the cave behind the windmill, who just gets steadily angrier with every episode you pay him a visit. If we check around town, we'll find most of the Hergyar seem to be sheltering inside. The only one braving the goo is Mr. Hergyar, who's kind enough to give us a boost up to Petey Piranha's napping spot. The game's gonna introduce us to these dubious little not quite enemies called poinks, which will latch onto your squirt nozzle when you get close, enabling us to fill them up like water balloons and then launch them away. If you don't want one stuck to you, just switch nozzles and they'll get bored and stop existing. So what the game wants us to do now is launch a point at the sleeping Petey over there. But why would I do that when I could just head over there myself? He actually won't respond to anything you can do. No amount of water or ground pounding is enough to disturb his slumber. So you know what they say. If you can't beat him, join him. Yep, Mario will fall asleep almost anywhere if you let him idle long enough. What's hysterical is that Petey Piranha's sleeping animation looks to be the exact same as Mario's, just mirrored and slowed down a bit. Between this and them doing the exact same animations when the roof cracked out from under them, it's clear to me these two aren't meant to be enemies. But the laws of the universe dictate they must fight, so let's poink them and get things started. Petey Piranha has changed quite a bit since last time. For starters, he can now fly, giving him free range of the whole town as his arena. In order to fight him, we'll first have to knock him out of the sky, which is apparently impossible while he's moving. Every so often though, he'll stall in midair and begin launching gobs of goo down at you. What the game wants you to do here is run around with a poink until he does this, and then launch it up at him. The way most people do this though is by keeping close to him using the rooftops we got familiar with in the red coin mission, and simply squirting him when he comes to a stop. Now, these are both wrong. If you want to work smarter not harder, just suit up with the rocket nozzle and follow his shadow along the ground. When he stops, just launch up to him and switch nozzles in midair to bring him down. From there, it's a similar fight to last time with just a few twisters. Twists. He now has this really annoying tornado attack, which just like his head doesn't do damage, but he likes to do it a lot when he could be reeling up for his vomit attack, which could end up prolonging the fight quite a bit. Your best bet is to stay really far away from him on the ground, which should make him default to his big inhale. But you gotta be ready to close the distance fast, because if he manages to paint the ground uninterrupted, he'll take flight again. He will also take flight after every successful hit, but with our strategy, it's not much hassle to get him grounded again. Once more, rinse and repeat 3 times, and if you're feeling stylish, you can use the rocket nozzle to ground pound his belly. Yeah! And that's the last we'll see him in this game. I decided to see if any of the townspeople reacted to the fight being over, and they absolutely do not. Yeah, I think he's sleeping over there too. We do have one other Pianta in town this episode. Up on this tower, we'll find a yellow guy, who we've actually already seen and rescued from Goo, but only now that he's secluded will he give us a blue coin in thanks. Whatever, let's just take our shine. It's well earned. Episode 6, The Secret of the Dirty Lake. Yeah, it really is just one thing after another around here. Clean the town, now the lake is a mess. And worst of all, now the sun's been stolen. Yep, it's just gone. Usually right here. Gone. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be intended. It's the only level in the whole game that does this. It seems to have just been a developer oversight. They really did just forget the sun in Super Mario Sunshine. You're late for your throwing appointment. No, I'm not. We can find Gyar running around town playing a game of hide and seek with his sister. She's actually pretty tough to find. She's tucked in this walled off area over here. He'll never find me here, right? Yeah, Gyar, you've got your work cut out for you, bro. Good luck. Mr. Hergyar over here seems to be getting a little bit tired of throwing us. I think I can tell you why your wife throws further than you do. This is something you have to do for yourself, my guy. And lastly, before we try and sort out the lake, Pink Tourist is parked up here where Petey Piranha was last episode. He does seem to be more or less following the focus of whatever the previous episode was, which is kinda cool. So whatever's polluting the lake seems to be far more potent than the goop we're used to. A single touch instantly does damage to us, but don't worry everyone, I found the solution. Just put these wooden logs around the source. They clearly have magic goo preventing properties. So the intended method of reaching the spring cave is by riding these lily pads, which we can propel with our squirt nozzle. However, as soon as we step on them, they begin to decay, and when they fully wilt, we'll be dead in the water. So we're meant to hop from lily pad to cross the lake, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually do that. Everyone just goes up behind the windmill and jumps for it. The joys of a sandbox. Before heading into the cave, we found the gray nozzle box, which contains the turbo nozzle, my personal favorite of the interchangeable nozzles. The turbo nozzle uses a ton of water to propel Mario at top speed across land and water. With it, we can make it from the end of the river all the way to the cave in one breath of air. As a bit of advanced tech, pull off a spin jump while boosting and Mario will jump even higher and further than a regular spin jump. This thing is so much fun, but as long as the lake is mucked up, we're pretty limited on how free we can run with it. So let's jump on into the cave and see if we can sort things out. That's right, it's another not-so-secret floodless level, and this one is mean. This super easy one-up right here at the start is here for a reason. The main obstacle are these flipping platforms, which alternate flipping between the red and blue ones. Then this second jump here is to force you to learn that your basic standing jump ain't gonna cut it. But check it out, this is so clever. If you try to make it to the cube with a regular jump, you'll see Mario start sliding on the side of it. If you're anything like me, you'll probably be mashing the jump button on your first go, because as everyone knows, that definitely totally makes Mario jump higher. And you'll see Mario perform a wall jump, probably the first one a casual player will pull off. Now the game is nice enough to give you this little safety net down here with a trampoline to try again. So now you're back up here with this newfound knowledge that Mario can jump off walls, and hey, there's a wall right there. Maybe you can, aha! That felt pretty cool. Now ride this tumble cube across, and the game gives you an opportunity to flex your newfound skills with this yellow wall. Though, don't fret if you don't want to. The cube does get close enough that a normal jump here will serve just fine. Now we've got to ride another cube straight up, with another pretty simple one-up to get along the way. Now that we're way up here, there's something I want to point out. Mario doesn't take fall damage when he's not wearing Flood. He absolutely does when he is wearing Flood, which I question, but it's one small mercy they give you in these obstacle courses. Unlike this last set of platforms, these flipping panels can so easily make you panic, but as long as you're not fixated on moving straight towards the shine, it's pretty simple to just keep switching colors until things line up in your favor. Alternatively, you can get pretty fancy with these, especially if you've got Mario's spin jump down. So the personal challenge I gave myself was to try and beat this without touching a red platform, which I didn't technically pull off, but what I did pull off was way cooler, so I'm counting it. Now just like the last not-so-secret level, there is a proper secret shine to be obtained here if we head back in with Flood, and I cannot stress enough how important it is not to pick up the turbo nozzle on your way in. You absolutely, no exceptions, I don't care how much time you've got on your hands, want the hover nozzle for this one. Being able to hover essentially allows you to disregard the flipping of the platforms, and half the red coins we're after are going to be over top those flipping platforms if you're lucky, and if you're not lucky, they're going to be floating over open space. So believe me, we want the freaking hover nozzle. Wait, hang on, I gotta concentrate for this part. Oh yeah, okay. That kinda kicked ass, but now who wants to guess how many tries that took me? Now about the 100 coin shine, it is programmed to appear in this area if you collect your 100th coin here. However, there are no coins to be found in this area. Unlike Mario 64, red coins don't count towards your coin total, and for that matter, neither do blue. So without a gold coin, it's completely impossible to actually see the 100 coin shine spawn here. But I'm not so easily deterred. With the dark arts at my disposal, I can reach into the ether and withdraw from it a forbidden relic. Seriously, I don't want to tell you what it took to get this coin to show up here. Super Mario Sunshine level editing is a trip, but here we are. A shine even the most dedicated Mario Sunshine players may never have seen before. Now for episode 7, Shadow Mario on the Loose, and finally we learn his official name, and I can finally stop calling him Gooey Mario. Are you gonna? No, of course not. He'll always be Gooey Mario to me. The basis of this level is nearly identical to when he tried to make off with Peach. You just gotta chase after him and spray him down. This can genuinely be the fastest shine we've gotten yet if you want, but if you do, you'll miss out on some distressing news. The Hergyar kids have gone missing, and the whole town is up and about looking for them. Mrs. Hergyar is understandably distraught. Mr. Hergyar doesn't seem terribly bothered, actually. And Pig Tourist made his way all the way to the top of the windmill. He says he's just sightseeing, but I'm betting he's secretly more dedicated to finding the kids than he lets on. We can find Gyar pretty easily. He's wandering around the outskirts of town, still looking for his sister in their game of hide and seek, which tips us off that she's still in her brilliant hiding spot from last time. Though if we talk to her, we find out it's not by choice. She just can't get out by herself. Oh my god. Sorry, kid, I'm pulling for you, but unless you're a piece of fruit, Mario can't carry you out of here. Best we can do for now is deal with the shady character running around town. Now, these Gooey Mario chases are pretty cool. His movement abilities are exactly the same as Mario's, minus Flood, which gives the developers an opportunity to show you some abilities you might not have come to grips with yet, like Mario's side flip and his spin jump. The way his shine works is also unique. Unlike every other shine in the game, Shadow Mario shines have no set spawn location. They'll simply appear wherever he was when he was downed, and then settle to ground level. This gives us the opportunity to mess with the camera a little. By going into Mario's over-the-shoulder view and spinning underneath the shine, when he does his shine get pose, he'll be facing the wrong direction, which I find eternally amusing. With that, our 10th shine, I want to take a quick look at Delfino Plaza again, particularly the Ring of Sunlight. Look how far we've spread it already, almost to the statue here. It's beautiful. Now that we've beaten Gooey Mario, we have gotten every required shine from Bianco Hills. Getting the 7th shine in each episode is the only barrier to unlocking the final boss of this game. However, we are absolutely going for 100% here, so let's jump on into episode 8, another red coin mission. Alright. With Gooey Mario cleared out, the 8th and final episode of each level is going to be a comparatively peaceful outing. All the townspeople here are just struggling to adjust back to their regular stress-free lives, and we've got a breezy coin scavenger hunt to cap things off. But before we start scavenging, it looks like the Hergyar kids have been found. They're getting an earful from Mom, of course, but it looks like all's well and good. Some things never change. Look, I still think we need to find you a healthier way to express your anger, but even I admit it wouldn't be the same if you stopped. Now, what's really funny is that if we check Her's old hiding spot, we can find our bro Pink Tourist, and now he's the one stuck down here. Here's my headcanon. The way the kids talk, it sounds like Mrs. Hergyar doesn't know where her daughter was. Pink Tourist, in his way, happened upon her, and was probably able to boost her out of this little walled area, resulting in her being found. He may seem trapped, but I imagine he has his methods. Meanwhile, I'm not convinced Mr. Hergyar ever realized his kids were even missing. Now, this lady over here is going to teach us the ins and outs of the Super Whirl Jump. Press the dive button while on a tightrope to drop down and grab it. Then use Flood's squirt nozzle to get yourself spinning. Press jump and... yeah, that's pretty sweet. And it's actually going to be helpful for this mission. Let's suit up with the rocket nozzle and hunt down the rest of these coins. This is going to start out pretty simple, but as we get higher, blusters are going to start showing up, ready to undo all our vertical progress. Now, contrary to popular belief, these guys are, in fact, fully intended to go at an angle, so in order to juke them out, you'll have to wait to jump until the moment they charge. The thing with this mission is that you're going to have to accept that you are going to fall. What's important is that we have plenty of means to get back up. While the timing is a bit precise, if we jump out of the water the moment our rocket nozzle fires, we can still launch the full height of it. We also have these little skeeter guys skeeting around. If we spray them and then jump on them, we get frankly amazing height. Combine that with the rocket nozzle, and we can basically get anywhere we want from the water. Red coins 5, 6, and 7 are all simple enough once you're up here, but number 8 is on a tightrope, unconnected from them all. We're either gonna have to make a pretty precise jump from the windmill, or a super whirl jump, which is surprisingly not difficult to pull off. Let's do one more as a victory lap and collect our shine. That's all the levels, but of course that still leaves us with the 30 blue coins and the 100 coin shine, all of which are best collected in episode 8, so let's get to it. It's worth noting that the 100 coin shine will be slightly easier to get with a certain upgrade we'll get later, but it's not necessary. Within town, we'll get our first coin and our first blue coin on this balcony by squirting these openings. Which of these will have the blue coin actually changes depending on the mission, for some reason. Now there are a lot of little things we can do for gold coins in town, like spraying these little windmills till they spin fast enough, or this water wheel until it rings the bells and drops 3 coins, but most of our money is going to come from flowers. These standalone ones can be watered for 1. Some of these will turn out to be pokey heads, but you don't want to stomp these ones. Instead, spray them into a wall, and when they splat, they'll pay out 3 coins instead. Lastly, these rings of flowers need to be bloomed all within a short window of each other, which you can do by rotating the control stick and spraying, a similar input to the spin jump. Blue coin number 2 is down at the very bottom of the river. Then we'll jump into this building steeple for number 3. And this next batch you may want to grab a rocket nozzle to collect. 1 here above the Hergyar family, 1 up here on the ledge overlooking town, and 1 floating in midair by one of the vertical windmills. Now for a hard one. Head up to where the shine was in the village red coin mission and you'll find a blue bird hanging out. Spray him 4 or 5 times and he'll turn into a blue coin. Now let's clean up some of this graffiti, starting behind the steepled building. Cleaning M-shaped graffiti always results in an instant blue coin. Cleaning any other shape will trigger a quick time trial, testing both your speed and knowledge of the area, as a blue coin will pop out of the corresponding shape and disappear in a few moments. Your fastest means of movement without the turbo nozzle is going to be the slip and slide, which you can do without the need for water to be on the ground by simply providing your own. But these early coins are pretty generous, so even that shouldn't be too necessary. With those circles cleaned, we have another M on this wall. Now let's rocket up to the top of these cliffs and we'll find a blue coin atop these platforms, and another by heading over to Petey's perch and spraying the ground. Yeah, that's easier to do by using the hover nozzle to platform on the clouds. Now let's get onto the top of the town's wall and clean this M. Then we can hop down to the hiding spot and finally collect the blue coin Pink Tourist has been offering us for like an hour. Right next to him we have another pair of graffiti symbols, which you can pretty easily cheat by spraying them from atop the wall. Then we're gonna head down to the other end of the wall and spray this windmill in particular, which grants a blue coin. And hop up to the yellow guy on the tower for his blue coin. If there was a club for people who get hit with goop a lot, I think I'd have a good shot at being club president. I don't know, I'm pretty sure Pink Tourists got you beat. Outside of town we'll start with the treetops. Some have coins, some have a seedy pod that can be stomped for a coin, and some have nothing, but can be sprayed for a coin. Except for this one, which can be sprayed for a blue coin. There are also a ton more flowers and pokey heads out here, including these ones over across the river. We'll also find a couple classic pokies. If you stomp on these guys while they're on the ground or while they're stunned from being sprayed, they'll give 1 coin. If you do it while they're standing and not stunned, you'll get 3. The last pokey on these ledges also yields a blue coin. At this point, you should have plenty of gold coins, so we're gonna reach 100 with the plethora on the ropes. While we're up here, let's make our way all the way to the top and grab this one on the tallest tower, and then hop over to the windmill and clean off that last M. At the very top of the windmill is a pokey, take him out and you'll get another blue coin, and now let's hop to this extremely tall island behind the windmill. Spray the ground here and that coin is yours. I want to hop over to the Wellspring Cave guy too. Not for a coin, but check it out. Enter by all means, he says. This guy's had a freaking arc. Right underwater by us, you'll find another blue coin, and I want to mention again, this one moves. It's here in episode 1, and every episode drifts further north, so don't get it mixed up. If we head over to the west side of the windmill, we'll find another underwater one, and finally let's hop up onto the grating of this bridge, and we can monkey bar our way over to our last one. Actually, that was only 28. Yeah, I know, I lied. Even though all 30 blue coins are available in this mission, we don't have everything we need to obtain those last 2. So for anyone who does have everything they need, these last 2 coins involve defeating this blue butterfly in the village and all of these bees outside the village. Don't worry, we'll come back for these as soon as we can. But for now, let's hop up to our 100 coin shine and finish off Bianco Hills. I've always found it deeply satisfying that upon getting all the possible shines from that level, the sun circle exactly encompasses the entrance. I have to wonder if that was a coincidence or not. But let's take a look at our totals here, and apart from those 2 pesky blue coins, that's everything in World 1, and what a brilliant World 1 it is. I don't think it gets enough credit for how well it tutorializes the player without expressly pulling them aside. It's also such a welcoming environment. The rolling fields, the pristine lake, it definitely motivates you to want to see it cleaned up, and the writing of the Piantas is surprisingly charming. It's all stuff you don't notice as you beeline from shine to shine, but hey, that's why I'm here after all. In the next episode, we're gonna set our sights on another level, though perhaps not the one you're expecting. Want to see that episode right now? As usual, it's already up on my Patreon, enjoyed by all my awesome patrons whom I love, and you, yes you, could be one of them. Links in the description, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.